From the outside, we looked perfect, the kind of couple people envied quietly. He kissed my forehead before leaving for work. He held my hand in crowded places like he never wanted to lose me. Every night, no matter how late he came home, he wrapped his arms around me in bed and whispered the same thing against my skin. "You're the only one I need." And for a long time, I believed him. Maybe that's why the changes felt so small at first. Easy to ignore. He started keeping his phone face down on every surface. Bathroom counter, kitchen table, nightstand. If a notification appeared while we were together, he checked it instantly, his expression tightening for half a second before pretending nothing happened. At first I laughed about it. "Who are you hiding from?" I teased one night while we watched TV. He smiled without looking up from the screen. "Work drama." "You don't want to hear it." Simple answer. Too simple. Then came the late-night calls. He'd step out onto the balcony around midnight, speaking quietly enough that I couldn't hear the words. Every time I asked who it was, he gave me the same answer. Just business. But business never made someone look guilty afterward. That's what scared me, not anger, not distance, guilt. One Friday night we went out to dinner downtown. Candlelight, wine, soft music. The kind of night that should have made me feel loved. And maybe I would have, if his phone hadn't buzzed 3 times during the meal. Each time he checked it immediately. Each time his jaw tightened slightly afterward. "You can answer it," I said finally. "It's not important." But his fingers stayed wrapped around the phone the entire night after that. Later, back at our apartment, he fell asleep quickly beside me while rain tapped softly against the windows. I couldn't sleep. Something inside me felt restless. Then his phone lit up on the nightstand. Just for a second, but long enough. A message preview appeared across the screen. Unknown contact. I missed last night already. Every breath inside me stopped. I stared at the glowing words while his arm rested across my waist like nothing in the world was wrong. Like he hadn't just shattered something without even waking up. My chest tightened painfully as 1,000 thoughts crashed through my mind at once. Last night? He told me he was working late last night. Slowly, carefully, I turned toward him in the darkness. He looked peaceful, comfortable, completely unaware that one message had changed the way I saw him forever. And lying there beside the man I loved, one terrifying realization settled into my chest. Maybe I wasn't the only woman hearing him say those words every night anymore. I didn't sleep after that message. I just lay there beside him, staring at the ceiling while his breathing remained slow and peaceful next to me. Every few minutes I glanced toward the phone on the nightstand, half expecting another message to appear. Another lie, another piece of proof. By morning, he acted completely normal. He kissed my forehead before leaving for work, smiled at me over coffee, asked if I wanted dinner reservations for the weekend. Like nothing had happened, like his phone hadn't exposed a second life at 2 a.m. And somehow, that hurt even more. The entire day felt unbearable. I replayed the message over and over in my mind while trying to convince myself there had to be an explanation. Maybe it was old. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe I was about to destroy my relationship over nothing. But deep down, I already knew. That night, he fell asleep early beside me after another long work meeting. His phone rested loosely in his hand, screen dark. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. I told myself not to do it. Then I reached for the phone anyway. The passcode still worked. That detail almost broke me immediately, because it meant he trusted me enough not to hide it completely, while still hiding everything that mattered. My fingers trembled as I opened the messages. There she was. No name, just a number. But the conversation stretched back months. I scrolled slowly, my stomach twisting tighter with every message. Last night felt dangerous. She's starting to notice. I hate lying to her. My breathing became uneven. The messages weren't casual. They were intimate, emotional. Worse than physical somehow. And then I saw something that made my chest go cold. A photo. Not romantic, not sexual. A picture of him standing beside a hospital bed. I frowned in confusion. Before I could understand it, another message underneath changed everything. Does she know what really happened that night? My fingers froze. What night? I kept scrolling desperately now, searching for answers instead of betrayal. Then I found my own name. If she learns the truth from someone else, she'll never forgive you. Truth, hospital, lies. Suddenly this didn't feel like an affair anymore. It felt bigger, darker, more dangerous. And just as I started opening older messages, his voice suddenly broke the silence behind me. "What are you doing?" My blood turned to ice. I turned slowly. He was awake, and the look in his eyes wasn't guilt, it was fear. After that night, everything between us changed. Not openly, not loudly, but quietly, in the spaces between conversations. He knew I had seen the messages. I knew he was hiding something bigger than cheating, and yet neither of us said the words out loud. That silence became unbearable. So when he texted me Friday evening saying he'd be working late again, I made a decision. I followed him. Rain covered the city streets as his car moved through downtown traffic, before finally pulling beneath the entrance of a luxury hotel. My chest tightened instantly. A hotel. Of course. I parked across the street and watched him step inside alone. 10 minutes later, a woman arrived. Dark coat, nervous expression. Familiar. Too familiar. I had seen her face before. The hospital photo. My pulse began racing as I crossed the street carefully and slipped into the hotel lobby behind them. They disappeared into the lounge near the elevators, sitting at a quiet corner table away from everyone else. I stayed hidden behind a marble column, close enough to hear fragments of their conversation. "You can't keep doing this," the woman whispered. "I know," he replied tiredly. "She deserves the truth. I'm trying to protect her." "Protect me from what?" Then the woman lowered her voice even further. "If she finds out what really happened that night, you'll lose her forever." My breath caught painfully. The same words from the messages. That night. Whatever happened was serious enough to destroy us. I watched him run both hands through his hair, exhausted in a way I had never seen before. Then he said something that made my entire body go cold. "She wasn't supposed to be there." I stopped breathing. The woman noticed movement near the lobby entrance suddenly and looked up sharply, and then her eyes locked directly onto mine. For one horrifying second, nobody moved. Then my boyfriend turned around slowly and saw me standing there. The moment he saw me standing in the hotel lobby, every bit of color drained from his face. For a second, nobody moved. The woman looked between us nervously while the silence around the table became unbearable. Then I finally spoke. "What happened that night?" My voice barely sounded like mine. He stood slowly, eyes locked on me with something far worse than guilt. Regret. "Please," he said quietly. "Not here." I laughed bitterly. "You lost the right to choose where we talk." People nearby were starting to notice us now, but I didn't care. My chest felt tight enough to break apart. The woman stood carefully. "I should go." "No," I snapped instantly. "You stay." Both of them froze. I looked directly at her. "Tell me what's going on." She hesitated before glancing at him. Big mistake, because that single look confirmed everything. They had been protecting a secret together. Finally, she whispered, "There was a car accident." My stomach dropped. I turned toward him slowly. His eyes closed briefly, like he had been dreading this exact moment for months. "She's my sister," the woman admitted softly. Confusion hit me instantly. "What?" "She lost someone that night," he said quietly, "and I was there." The world suddenly felt unstable. He stepped closer carefully, voice breaking slightly for the first time. "You remember your friend Emma?" he asked. My chest tightened painfully. "Emma? The friend who died 2 years ago in a late-night accident no one ever talked about afterward. My breathing stopped. "No," I whispered. Tears filled his eyes instantly. I was driving the other car. Everything inside me shattered. The messages, the secrecy, the guilt, the late-night meetings. It wasn't an affair. It was a truth buried in grief, fear, and guilt so deep he had destroyed us trying to hide it. And suddenly, betrayal hurt less than the realization that the man I loved had been carrying this nightmare alone beside me every night. The drive home felt unreal. Neither of us spoke. Rain slid across the windshield while the city lights blurred outside like ghosts moving through water. My mind kept replaying the same sentence over and over. I was driving the other car. Every memory connected to Emma suddenly felt different now. The funeral, the silence afterward, the way he avoided talking about that night whenever her name came up, and worst of all, the guilt I never noticed living inside him. When we finally reached the apartment, he didn't turn off the engine immediately. His hands stayed locked around the steering wheel like he was holding himself together by force. "I wanted to tell you," he said quietly. I stared forward. "Then why didn't you?" His jaw tightened painfully. "Because I knew what it would do to you." I looked at him then, really looked at him. For weeks, I thought another woman had stolen him from me. But now I understood the truth. Grief had, fear had, guilt had, and somehow that hurt even more. "You lied to me every day," I whispered. "I know." The sadness in his voice cracked something inside me. He finally turned off the car, but neither of us moved. "I met her after the accident," he explained softly. "Her brother died too. We started talking because we were the only two people who understood what that night destroyed." I closed my eyes briefly. "So every late-night meeting was guilt," he said immediately, "not love." Silence filled the car, heavy, exhausted. Then his phone buzzed again between us. Both of us froze instantly. He looked down slowly. Unknown number. A cold chill moved through me. He opened the message carefully, and the moment he read it, his entire expression changed. Fear, real fear. "What is it?" I asked quietly. He hesitated too long, then turned the phone toward me. One message. "She still doesn't know the accident wasn't actually your fault." My breath caught. The world seemed to stop around us. I looked up at him slowly. "What does that mean?" But he wasn't looking at me anymore. He was staring out into the darkness beyond the windshield like something from the past had finally caught up with him. And for the first time since this began, I realized the secret wasn't over yet. It had only just begun unraveling.